In the vast ocean, danger doesn't always begin with swift movement. It develops from how a species observes, maintains distance, and gradually tightens its grip on the surrounding space. Killer whales don't rush to attack. They build continuous pressure until their opponent is forced to react. And when the moment arrives, the attack is swift and decisive, the outcome already predetermined. Under the cold, stable surface, orca whales move in tight, purposeful formations. An adult can be 20 to 26 feet long, reaching speeds of over 30 miles per hour, but they rarely use the full potential right away. Instead, they observe, maintain distance, and constantly adjust their position within the group. Every movement is tied to a specific role, from leading to supporting. There is no random action, only repeated coordination. The orca's hunting method doesn't rely on a single approach. They control the space, limit choices, and force a reaction from their target. And when the opportunity arises, everything is already prepared. On an iceberg, the seal maintains its balance and constantly monitors its surroundings. It relies on quick reflexes to detect danger and is ready to jump into the water when necessary. Each time it lands, it adjusts its position to maintain stability on the slippery surface. But this very narrow space begins to limit its options. Below the surface, orca swim parallel and maintain a stable formation. They accelerate in unison, flapping their tails to create large waves against the iceberg. The waves repeat many times, making the surface even smoother and creating constant oscillation. The seal tries to maintain its balance, sliding down several times but quickly returning to its position. The pressure builds gradually with each wave. The seal's balance becomes unstable as the surface constantly changes. In one slip that it couldn't adjust in time, it couldn't return to its original position. The result is clear. The orca completely controls the situation. This is not a single approach. It's a combination of individual coordination and patience over time. When the environment changes, quick reflexes are no longer enough to maintain an advantage. In the ocean, controlling conditions always determines the outcome. On a narrow stretch of sand, the sea lion chooses a high vantage point and maintains a distance from the water's edge. It relies on quick reflexes to slide into the sea when danger arises and return to shore in a short time. This up and down movement helps it maintain relative safety. However, this safe distance depends on the stability of the water ahead. Offshore, the orca builds momentum from afar and maintains a straight approach. They accelerate in precise rhythm, leaping onto the sand in a very short time. The chosen timing coincides with the sea lion's proximity to the water's edge. The distance is abruptly shortened, leaving no time to adjust. When contact occurs, the situation changes instantly. The sea lion loses its position on the shore and is pulled back into the water. The orca quickly leaves the sand and returns to its original direction. The result is clear. The advantage belongs to the side controlling the timing, even when the action takes place outside its familiar environment. In deep water, sharks move slowly and steadily, maintaining a consistent, relaxed swimming rhythm. They rely on their sense of environment and familiar trajectories to maintain control. Their direction of movement changes little, with no obvious signs of alertness. This stability creates a temporary gap. From below and out of sight, the orca approaches in a straight line, maintaining a low speed before accelerating. The chosen moment coincides with the shark's failure to change direction. The initial collision is quick and precise, completely disrupting the swimming rhythm. The orca then doesn't immediately resume, but maintains distance to observe the shark's reaction. When the rhythm cannot be restored, the situation has clearly changed. The shark loses its ability to maintain a stable direction, while the orca continues to control the distance. The outcome is clear. The advantage is entirely with the orca. This isn't a continuous sequence of actions from the start. It's a step-by-step approach. Approach, create a disruption, then assess before proceeding. Once the initial impact is precise enough, the rest is simply about maintaining control. In the open water, dolphins maintain constant movement at high speed and with flexible swimming direction. They change direction quickly, maintain distance, and always seek to maintain an advantage with a steady rhythm of movement. Each acceleration helps them avoid danger from behind. But all that advantage depends on uninterrupted movement. Below, killer whales maintain a position out of sight and adjust their approach according to the target's trajectory. There is no rush, only a gradual shortening of the distance with each movement. When the right moment arrives, one individual accelerates suddenly and lunges straight up from below. The impact happens quickly, completely disrupting the dolphin's stability. As soon as the rhythm of movement is broken, all reactions become slower. The dolphin cannot restore its original swimming direction, and the distance to the safe zone is no longer maintained. The killer whale continues to maintain its position and control the surrounding space. The outcome is clear. Control belongs to the one who creates the first disruption. This confrontation isn't based on mere speed. It's about a species waiting for the right moment to alter the entire rhythm of movement. When movement is interrupted, all previous advantages lose their value. In the ocean, timing is always paramount. Near the cold water's edge, the penguin maintains distance and constantly observes before leaving the surface. It moves in small groups, changes direction quickly, and only enters the water when it feels safe. Once underwater, it accelerates and finds its way back to the nearest safe position. But every decision must be made in a very short amount of time. Around it, the orca swims in circles and maintains a steady distance, neither leaving nor acting hastily. They maintain constant pressure, waiting for a reaction from their target. When the penguin accelerates and approaches the area near the boat, the decisive moment arrives. A precise jump allows it to leave the water in a short time. Once the distance is established beyond its reach, the situation changes immediately. The orca does not continue to approach, but maintains its position around it. The penguin maintains its position on the new surface, avoiding danger in this situation. The result is clear. Reacting at the right time helps the target stay safe temporarily. In the deep water, orca maintain a steady pace and wide distance to ensure safety. They rely on long trajectories and stability to avoid unnecessary collisions. Their direction of movement changes little, conserving energy over time. However, this stable pace becomes difficult to maintain as the surrounding area begins to shrink. From multiple directions, orca approach from various angles, maintaining a sufficient distance. They don't immediately press forward, but continuously adjust their position to gradually limit the available space. As the space decreases, the turning points are gradually blocked. The orca's pace begins to change according to the surrounding pressure. When there is no longer enough distance to maintain the original trajectory, the advantage gradually shifts to the opposite side. The orca can no longer maintain a stable direction, while the orca continues to control its position and approach pace. The result is clear. The side that controls the space maintains complete control of the situation. Come from a single moment, but from how the pressure is maintained over time. Killer whales don't rush to finish. They adjust, tighten the space, and force their opponent to gradually lose options. Each slowed reaction changes the course of events in a more obvious way. And when the final moment arrives, the outcome has already been decided. In the icy lands where life is fragile, polar bears are not only predators, but also symbols of extreme adaptation. Each appearance is a test of strength, strategy, and limits. Not every attack leads to victory. Sometimes it is the timely retreat that preserves survival. Amidst harsh conditions and change, every action of the bear is a choice for survival. In the icy world, where every meal is a trade-off and every moment of survival is decisive, conflict between adult polar bears is not uncommon. As the ice melts early and food becomes scarce, competitive pressure intensifies. Especially during mating season, the atmosphere between males becomes more tense than ever. When they meet, two bears may stand face to face, circling to assess each other. A low growl echoes, their bodies, weighing over 1,200 pounds, tense up to display their strength. If neither gives way, a fight can erupt. Claws are unleashed, powerful bites aimed at the shoulders and neck. Rarely resulting in fatalities, the consequences are visible wounds and exhaustion after a prolonged confrontation. Ultimately, the victor gains control of territory or access to a mate. The loser retreats in silence. The absence of animosity is simply a rule of survival in a harsh environment, where every animal must prove its worth to exist. Walruses are among the largest and most cautious creatures in the Arctic. With their thick blubber, thick skin, and sharp tusks over 3 feet long, they are not easily harmed. Often moving in large herds, walruses rely on numbers for defense, rarely alone and even less so isolated. Polar bears don't act rashly. When they spot a walrus cub separated from its herd, they approach from a distance, avoiding the wind, and remain still, observing for hours. Each step is aimed at closing the distance without making a sound. When the opportunity arises, the bear attacks quickly and accurately. However, the adult walruses work together to repel the attack. The bear sustains some injuries and is forced to retreat. The next time, when faced with a solitary adult, the bear approaches cautiously. It observes the walrus's massive size and thick skin as a natural shield. After a few minutes of assessment, the bear decides to leave. Not all prey can be attacked. Sometimes retreating is not a failure, but a wise adaptation for survival in the frigid polar regions. Gray wolves, averaging 80 to 90 kilograms each, are highly organized pack predators. Packs can consist of dozens of individuals, working closely together to corner prey. Their tenacity and covering tactics make it impossible for even larger creatures to lower their guard, especially when separated from the pack or carrying their young. One quiet morning, A mother bear and her cub were surrounded. The mother bear immediately shielded them, driving away the nearest wolf. But the encirclement tightened, with individual wolves silently closing in from multiple directions. The mother bear retreated, constantly observing. When she had no other choice, she suddenly jumped into the icy water, dragging her cub with her to avoid complete isolation. This risky choice didn't stem from weakness, but from an instinct to protect her offspring. In a world where numbers can overwhelm individual strength, understanding limits and knowing when to retreat is also a form of strength, where maternal instinct guides survival decisions. Beluga whales are small whales with distinctive white skin and thick bodies, which help them adapt to frigid waters. Adults can grow up to 18 feet long and weigh over 3,000 pounds. They typically move in small pods, using the tides to navigate through narrow channels near the shore during the summer thaw. It is at this time that polar bears look for opportunities. Instead of plunging into deep water, they memorize the tidal cycle and ambush near shallow waters where beluga whales have difficulty maneuvering. When the whales surface with the current, the bear waits for the ideal moment to act. A sudden lunge from the ice edge, the bear's entire weight is concentrated on its target. If accurate, the beluga is unlikely to escape. But even a slight misstep will derail the attack. Polar bears don't hunt beluga whales frequently, but when conditions are right, they use their understanding of the environment to turn the terrain to their advantage. This is clear evidence that predatory instinct relies not only on strength, but also on a combination of observation, calculation, and timely decision-making. When spring ice melts earlier than usual, an irreversible chain of changes begins. For polar bears, this means losing their ideal launching pad for hunting seals, a source of fat and energy essential for survival. Without the breathing holes in the ice, without their familiar ambush positions, bears are forced to look beyond the frigid seas for alternative sources of nutrition. In some coastal areas of Alaska, bears turn to seabird eggs such as those of gulls or terns, or nests on low cliffs along the shore. These are low-energy food sources, but readily accessible during the short periods when the birds are concentrating on breeding. The eggs cannot replace seal fat, but they provide a temporary buffer, allowing bears to survive through the difficult months. Notably, climbing cliffs or rummaging through nests has never been common behavior for polar bears. This demonstrates the ability to adapt behavior to circumstances, a form of survival adaptation. Although unable to sustain their enormous weight solely on eggs and vegetation, bears still find ways to maximize the benefits of what nature leaves behind. As the ice melts, instinct forces them to change not out of choice, but for survival. Seals are familiar inhabitants of the Arctic ice floes. With their thick layer of blubber, agile swimming ability, and fast diving speed, they are considered one of the most difficult prey to approach there. But the seal's survival depends on tiny breathing holes, gaps in the ice to breathe, which become a constant weakness in the icy wilderness. Polar bears, the largest land predators, don't act recklessly. Instead of relying on sudden speed, they choose a strategy of patience, lying still by the breathing holes for hours, even days. The bear observes every slightest movement and vibration, calculating the moment to attack without making any noise. Initially, it tried a direct approach but failed. The seal escaped in an instant. From that failure, the bear changed tactics. The next time, it approached from behind, completely silently. When the ice surface trembles slightly, signaling the seal's emergence, the polar bear launches its entire body, weighing over 1,000 pounds, precisely into the spot. The unexpected and accurate strike leaves the prey no time to react. The success rate is only about 1 in 20. But it is patience, the ability to learn and adapt, that allows polar bears to maintain their role as a top hunter in the extreme cold. Each ambush is a challenge, where instinct and strategy intertwine to reclaim every moment of survival. The Greenland Arctic Hound is a breed of sled dog characteristic of the far north. Each dog weighs approximately 65 to 85 pounds and has a thick, double coat that provides cold resistance and high endurance. They retain their wild instincts despite living near humans, with a keen sense of smell and a loud bark to warn from a distance. When sensing a threat, the pack of dogs usually gathers in groups, barking loudly and constantly moving around to harass and pressure the bear. This is a defensive response, not intended to attack. However, without sufficient numbers or human intervention, the pack of dogs is unlikely to deter a bear. In some cases, bears silently approach the camp where the dogs are chained individually. When acting, a single swing of their paws with a force exceeding 100 pounds is enough to incapacitate an adult dog. Bears have a clear advantage in one-on-one confrontations. The outcome usually favors the bear. In a world where ice and snow are unforgiving, every choice a polar bear makes is a balance between strength and limitations. From hunting to confronting other bears, from changing strategies to retreating at the right moment, all reflect survival instincts honed over time. Bears don't always win, but they always know how to survive. And that's what makes them the clearest symbol of polar adaptation.